Officer, the Cabinet Secretary has touched upon interim arrangements regarding helping the UK Government. So can the Cabinet Secretary give further information on the discussions with the UK Government regarding the capacity for processing COVID-19 tests and whether progress has been made on finding a long-term solution?
Cabinet Secretary.
So, members will be well aware that the Lighthouse Lab in Glasgow is part of a network of UK-wide Lighthouse Labs, and the portal that people book tests through, where they are asked to go to a mobile testing unit or a regional testing centre, or indeed the new walk-through centres, the second of which opens in Glasgow at the end of this week, that they do that through that UK portal. In terms of the agreement we have with the UK Government, the Glasgow Lighthouse Lab should, as a minimum, give access to tests taken in Scotland to the level of our population share, which is just over 14,000. It does fluctuate day to day, but it is anywhere between 13 and 14,000. That should, on the basis of the information, the data that we get, on most days, meet the demand that comes through those routes. There have been a couple of days when schools went back, for example, where the system was stressed above that level, but that in itself should be sufficient, provided we've got all the other facilities in place, and I've just talked about those. However, what has appeared in recent days, so from about the middle of last week through to now, is a growing backlog of tests in the Glasgow Lighthouse Lab, because the network as a whole is being stressed by significant additional demand out with Scotland, but the Glasgow Lab is part of that network. And what that has done is created a backlog of tests in Scotland. Partly, we see care homes have raised this issue, as have others. That's why we're moving care homes out of that route into NHS labs. So the discussions that we've had, I was in contact with Matt Hancock over the weekend. That was about not constraining the number of sample slots that people could access over the weekend. Yesterday, both myself and then the First Minister were in contact with Matt Hancock and Dido Harding about this arrangement and looking at measures that could be put in place to get rid of the backlog and not create a new one. And so their officials, our officials, are busy working on what could those measures be, how can we be assured that we will have access as a minimum, as the Memorandum of Understanding says, to our population share of the total capacity in the Glasgow Lighthouse Lab, and parallel to that, the work I touched on earlier about scaling up the testing, processing capacity we have at our own hand through regional hubs, the academic nodes and our own laboratories.
Question 2, Jackie Bailey.